This hot, dry, sort of droughty weather is really still affecting these pineapple guavas and a lot of plants we've planted lately, including the pomegranate, the last pomegranate we planted. But I did want to show you, this is the first year these pineapple guavas, our old ones, have self-pollinated. Look, there's quite a bit of fruit on here. Whether or not it stays on here because of the drought and heat and all, I don't know. We have been doing better taking care of these pineapple guavas, but we're still not where we probably need to be. We definitely need to do mulching or post-mycorrhizal beds here so that all this grass and weeds isn't taking all the nutrients and the water from the plant, and so that everything gets, has some water or moisture retention around the roots. Our grafted KSU Atwood or whatever, pawpaw, looks pretty good. Got some kind of bugs eating it. They call these mayhaws. This one hadn't even fell off the tree. It's not even super ripe yet. It's close, but it's just, it's almost June. Here's the red champ mayhaw that we planted a few months ago. Still looking good. With this drought and all, I'm not sure why this guy looks good. Maybe there's some water right here in this spot somewhere, not too far in the ground. This area is kind of a little dip, a little bit of a low spot. So, there could be some moisture in the ground right there. There's a lovely mushroom of some sort growing by this Suriname cherry. So when we got that really bad winter a couple winters ago, it wiped most of the tree out. And I kind of expected it to bloom last winter, but it hasn't. Maybe it'll bloom this year. It'd be nice. Hopefully it gets more vigorous. It feels more vigorous. It feels thicker, and it looks good. There are a few seedlings here and there. Let's see, like that one, and there's a couple there. And hey, there's one right there that we need to pluck up one day and repot and move to another area, and let's put them in a microclimate where it might get a little bit more protection from the cold. And here is the pecan tree that's grafted that we planted last year. Yeah, I remember it lost maybe a foot or so of its size, but everything here, all this growth, all this bushiness is above the graft line, so it looks like it's going to do well. Wow, check out the color of that little rusty looking frog there.
For me.
There's a bee or something on that one. It's been a few days since we did any videoing, but we're going to look at this post-mycorrhizal bed for this bad looking citrus tree. I think it was a grapefruit, and it is looking really bad. So in some circumstances, building a post-mycorrhizal bed may not fix the problem, especially if the tree is in too much of a decline. Despite the chestnut tree, we'll look at it in a second, looking so much better with the post-mycorrhizal bed. Again, we got some bug damage. We're in a drought, but it looks normal. It looks normal. This chestnut, this Dunstan chestnut, big, nice looking leaves. And hopefully we'll get some growth, 2 or 3 more feet or more this year by doing this post-mycorrhizal bed, just building a mycorrhizal bed around the tree trunk. Now let's look where this old tire was on this cocktail grapefruit that was looking so bad. Now it's not super tall, but it's got some pretty green leaves on it now. And I guess I can talk about, this again. We talked about this issue, a few weeks or a few months back, about tires and plastic barrels, and my theory about why they don't work the best for building a raised bed. So sort of my theory, I guess, was that doing the plastic barrels, half barrels, tires and all, they don't let oxygen in, and I think they don't let moisture out, so they get at times too moist, too much, it just causes root rot and stuff like that. And also, when I pulled that tire out of that cocktail grapefruit bed, it was so hard, it was like clay. It compacted from roots and weeds and stuff. So it basically, did a number of things, I think, against that one little cocktail grapefruit tree. So not enough oxygen gets to the roots, too much saturation, and over time, too much competition in root density just makes it turn into like clay or a concrete block or something similar. So the roots have nowhere to go. They're growing against such dense, such hard soil and dense rooting from the weeds and grass, and then the tree stops growing and all the leaves turn yellow. But let's go back to this post-mycorrhizal bed. This grapefruit seedling here was not ever put in a tire or anything like that. It's been just slowly growing until it started turning yellow, the leaves yellow, and getting shorter and shorter, having like massive dieback, like as you can see there. And it may have just been 2 or 3 years too late to try to save it. I think it's dying. In another year or two, it'll probably be dead. But hey, it'd be nice to see it turn around. I'm not going to, do anything with the post-mycorrhizal bed here unless this thing dies completely. Then we might just plant something right there where there's an existing raised bed. But I mean, it definitely looks like it's on its way out. It is sad when you invest so much time. That's probably a 12 or 13-year-old tree. And it's even sad when you invest 2 or 3 years or even a lot of money and it dies the first year, but that's a lot of time to invest in a plant or tree, even as a seedling, because you're taking your valuable resources, your spot in the garden, and dedicating it to that specific thing. When that grapefruit was planted, it was probably less valuable because we had more space to plant. So 13 years ago, maybe a third of the stuff, if not a half, wasn't even planted. We planted more stuff every single year, and for probably 25 years. Just like this guy here. This is a grafted Oro Blanca or some kind of grapefruit or hybrid, and it has had so little top growth, and bugs or whatever get it when it starts growing and gets a little bit of greenery, but it's never just taken off. That was actually probably $35-40 shipped to me many years ago, and it hasn't done anything. I've babied it every year, fertilized everything, trying to get it some top growth, tried to protect it a little bit, from this and that freeze damage and everything. But sometimes they just do not do well. They're just in a constant decline. Now, update on the sparkleberry. Remember this had like 2 or 3 clusters of like little berries, immature berries. They flowered, and I cannot find them. I would not think that they would have already been ripened and eaten or fallen off. So I think either they fell off immaturely, or maybe an animal got them before that they were ripe. Because I would think that I would see some sign of berries half ripe or something right now, but no sign at all. So before we end this video, I think I'll briefly talk about, have I found any of the jabuticabas, that we planted in the ground in various wetlands areas. So when I did that video, planting them here and there, I talked about it. I said, you know, this is kind of a bad idea because I've done this multiple times, and a lot of times you never see a plant, whether it's, you know, okra or, you know, vegetables or whatever. Just planting them randomly, maybe where you're not going to mow, where you're not going to walk on, where you're not going to dig in that area. But for whatever reason, I've had bad luck with it. So, but it's all an experiment. I probably, you know, wasted $10, $15, $20 worth of seeds, jaboticabas, the red hybrids, and the sabaras, and that doesn't mean they're not there. So many weeds and grasses and stuff in all these areas. 3 years down the road, you might randomly see one that survived. You might say, oh wow, what is that? Well, I planted some around this area too, but yes, I've looked every once in a while to see if I can spot any. Haven't noticed any that I could say that's a jaboticaba. But hey, you know, if those were the only seeds I had, I would not have done it. I had plenty. I propagated plenty in pots, hopefully, and hopefully we'll have in 2 or 3 years have big old plants, at least, you know, 1 to 3 gallon size plants, and see we have, you know, enough maybe to give away or trade or whatever.
Christina.
It's barbecue time again. Woo! Been another day or two since I've done any videoing on this video, and it's supposed to be 96 degrees today. We had a fear, you know, of thunderstorms, you know, a forecast of thunderstorms yesterday. They never came to fruition, and it is like super hot, super dry. There's like some of our dirt or ground is like cracking like it does in like maybe Texas, you know, in the clay and stuff when they have a drought. So here's some of the ground just cracking up. There's another snake, a banded water snake. Of course, you probably can't see it on camera, but I've already identified it. Good thing is we got a nice little wind, you know, in the shade. It feels okay so far. It's probably at least 90 out here. Like I said, it's supposed to be 96. But, you know, call me crazy for barbecuing. We got a butt roast, and we were going to Instapot it. And Natalie said, don't you remember last time we did it? Maybe it was a little too wet or slimy or something when we did that before. And it was hard or if not impossible to make like a barbecue pulled pork sandwich. So I said, well, tomorrow I'll just put it on the grill. Check out those cool looking mushrooms there. They're kind of knobby. Well, there she is. Hopefully it's good and tender. Chopped it up there. And this is what it looked like before we chopped it. Just picked it off the bone there.